We're going to go over a brief history of baseball and the baseball rule and what it means, and how the baseball rule has been applied in the court systems for just over 100 years now, and how my current research, that the data that I'm gathering, is to try and persuade us to change the way the court system is applying this rule. And it's due to changes in technology. So speaking of technology, I did have a song for you that everybody may have heard before. Oh, go back. Good thing I'm not being graded on presentation. That's exactly what it is, Tammy. But we don't have to listen to the whole thing. Baseball. Baseball, it's as American as apple pie, am I right? Maybe, maybe not. How many of you are baseball fans here today? How many of you am I going to see on Sunday at Bailey Brayton? Maybe? Again, maybe? Saturday? Okay. Well, I'll be there this weekend. I'm excited. I'm super excited. Baseball starts tomorrow as our home opener. Did it get scratched?
Depending on whether there'll probably be a doubleheader Friday and a doubleheader Saturday.
Excellent. I'm down with that. I like doubleheaders. That means I get to stay longer. Baseball's going to the Major League Baseball is about to start too. March 29th is going to be opening day. You think about baseball, we think about back to these black and white pictures, and we think baseball in the 1920s, baseball in the 1910s. Baseball in the 1910s was an event. It was entertainment. Am I right? It was like going to a movie. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have screens next to us at all times. We didn't even have a video camera so that we could be able to put baseball on TV. And if you even look at some of these old photos, we dressed to the nines. The whole family went out. The whole part about baseball was we got to go out and be entertained. Baseball, like many other sports, we want to be a part of the game. And one of the fun things about baseball is that the ball leaves the field. And when the ball leaves the field, it comes into the stands. And when it comes into the stands, we have a chance to catch it. And when you catch it, you get that souvenir, that home run ball or that foul ball, whichever one it is, that souvenir that's really kind of special and precious. This is the same in most any sports. There's the chance that the action could leave the field, and we want to be part of our team. We can look at a great sport. Well, as we know, baseball used to be called America's pastime and also America's sport. I think we only stick with pastime now because America's sport is pretty much obviously football. Football, we all want to be a part of the game, right? We have the 12th man. We have the undefeated home Cougar season because of our wonderful, amazing student section that finally stopped leaving in the fourth quarter, right? Amazing. We feel it's part of the game. We won the game. We won the game in triple overtime. My goodness, let's jump onto the field and celebrate with the players as if we did something. Baseball, let's get that ball, okay? But not everybody's a good catcher. Not everyone's a good catcher. Personally, I have a home run ball that I caught with no glove, with this hand from Nelson Cruz, and it left a mark. And it was a home run ball. It was deep, deep, deep out there, center field. He missed. Now, I want to warn you in the next slide, I want to look at some more injuries. I was pretty timid as to the pictures that I pulled up because I didn't want, I have nasty ones. But some of these are very graphic. What we see here is a young boy getting hit in the face, a woman who was hit directly in the face, still recovering, a young boy hit in the nose. Down in the bottom corner here, we have a woman who's leaving, who had to have 14 facial surgeries. She was sitting just over the dugout in Fenway Park. We have a bat in full striking someone who's trying to catch it. Trying. We have it again over here. We have people leaving in stretchers. We have her, who I love because she got to keep the ball. I think everyone who gets hit with the ball should get to keep the ball. Now, if there's 70,000 people in a stadium and the ball goes out into the stadium, how many people is it going to hurt? On average, we're looking at one. 1 in 70,000, that's a pretty low risk, am I right? Safety features in stadiums are very archaic and simple, but quite effective. First thing we have is the net. And I don't know about the lighting in here, but the net. It's a wire net that's behind home plate. It's net with big enough holes in it that you can see through them. They don't obstruct your vision, but they won't let a ball through. Except for that poor kid up there. That one went through the net. We have the sign. Beware of bats and balls leaving the playing field. Anybody seen these at Bailey Brayton? Safeco? Beware. More net. We also have the aisle usher. One of my favorite features. Does anybody go to a baseball game and go to batting practice? And when you're at batting practice, there's that aisle usher that comes up before the game that just walks up and tells everybody alongside, I want to remind you, you're sitting in foul ball territory. Balls can't come into this area. Will you please watch for the balls? And they say it. Is that enough? Is that enough protection? The baseball rule says it is. The net. Oh, I knew it wouldn't work. Okay, I'm going to finger point this out. This is 2015 Kansas City Royals Stadium. I use their stadium because I've got a secondary picture of it that I'm going to show you later. You can see the net right here to right here, protecting just this area behind home plate. Can you do it? Yeah. Here, Corey's got it. There you go. Now you can see it a little bit clearer. The length of the net. The net is protecting only these seats, and it's only protecting the seats that are down as low as the top of it. Now, a pop fly off of a bat goes high, and then it goes back up over the net, and then everybody that's behind that tries to catch it still anyway. But you're still at risk. But the net's there as a safety feature so that people won't get hurt. The limited duty rule, very unique. It applies to all sport venues in a specific that an object leaving the field of play that may injure spectators in the stands. It provides that a sport venue owner or operator, if they provide screened seating sufficient for the spectators who will be reasonably anticipated or desire protected seats in an ordinary occasion, in the most dangerous section of the stands, has satisfied its duty of care to those spectators. Meaning, any duty owed by the stadium is satisfied by having a screened area. The limited duty rule doesn't even say put the signs up. It doesn't even say have the usher walk up and down. It just says put a section of seats as long as it's sufficient for those that may want it. Go back and look at the section of seats versus the size of the stadium. It's a very limited section of seats that are protected. As far back as 1908, classic case, Blakely versus White Star Line, the court held that visitors to a ballpark or stadium assumed the risk of injury because of the nature of the game. And the court went on to iterate, everyone in America knows baseball is baseball and balls may leave the playing field and land in the stands. Thus, you're assuming the risk by going. Andrew Milstein, he's a professor over at University of Massachusetts Medical School. He did a study, he looked at 82 cases, foul ball cases between 1913 and 2008, found that only 19 of those 82 were decided in favor of the plaintiff, the injured party. The rest of them dismissed to baseball rule. Of those 82, I've looked at 155. Only 13 of them are the same as those 82. It's not just the major leagues. Research has shown, on average, 1,750 fans in American ballparks are injured due to foul balls every year. Annually, 1,750 people are injured. Now, that injury actually, that will account for my hand catching the Nelson Cruz ball, if I complained about it. I don't think mine's on record. I'd have to ask Safeco Field. Because I didn't. They just came and found me, saw if I was okay, and said, here's your ball. I hope you enjoyed it. And they gave me an address so I could send it in and have it signed. Anyway, the spectators that make a claim against the stadium owner, because he knowingly put this risk up, it doesn't happen. Baseball stadium owners are allowed to just let this happen because they're covered by a blanket umbrella rule. Now, it's true that spectators do assume the risk. We look at this young man. What's he got on his hand? He took his own glove to the park. Why do you take your glove to the park? So your hand doesn't end like mine when you try to catch the ball. Does it make sense? You want to catch that ball. You're going for that souvenir. Funny story about this. I couldn't get the gift. But did anybody remember this incident? Did anybody not know the incident? So this young man catches the ball, turns around and gives it to the young lady behind him. big time player. But later on, after that went viral and everybody thought it was super, super cute, somebody really analyzed the video. He caught the foul ball and then had another ball that he must have gotten at batting practice or something. He hands that to it. As he turns down and lowers his glove, you can see the foul ball still in his hand. A kid's money. So the rule of law, the doctrine of law that comes under the limited duty rule is assumption of the risk, primary assumption of the risk. Anyone who's taken any basic law class knows what this is. It's the biggest primary defense in sports. For example, if you're boxing, two people get into a ring, you are committing assaults against each other than you assumed the risk. Okay? So there is no legal claim whatsoever. And now, although assumption of the risk is, as it says here, plays a major role in the majority of these decisions, ballpark and stadium operators still do owe fans a duty of care. Under the limited duty rule, they must provide protection to those who want it. Again, to those who want it. So the number of people that want it has never been actually calculated. Sufficient protected seating. Sufficient is a little bit of a subjective term. What is sufficient? What's sufficient to you? What's sufficient to me? What's sufficient to a park full of kids? I don't know. But it's the most dangerous areas of the park under the limited duty rule, meaning the single net behind home plate where the fastest possible ball should be able to enter the stands. An average Major League Baseball game, according to MLB, actually according to Payne versus MLB commissioners, where I got this stat, 35 to 40 balls are still batted into the stands, regardless of where the net is. If they can't make it in through the net, 35 to 40 per game. Okay, if 1,750 fans are injured by errant balls each year, that equates to at least 2 every 3 games, and it occurs more often than a batter being hit by a pitch, which is a perfect example of assumption of the risk. Is the net enough? Carter's study in 2010 said limited duty and primary assumption of the risk place a heavy burden on spectators. Do you actually know that that's your burden? Do you know you're assuming a risk just by being drugged to a ball game? If stadium owners can reasonably remedy this problem under what's called a reasonable standard of care. Anybody who's ever studied any torts in their life knows in this country we use the reasonable person standard when determining whether it was good or bad. Reasonable person is a subjective term. Reasonable care is a subjective term. So if reasonable care is just this small net, it brings me to last year. We had a young woman at a Yankees game, age 8, struck in the face. 7 surgeries later to repair the broken bones in her face. She's fine. 8-year-old kid. It finally sparked Rob Manfred to say, we got to do something about this. We need a reasonable duty of care. Too many people are being hurt because the numbers are going up. Now, he says, this is a quote directly from the commissioner, fans have the option of sitting behind protective netting in those areas of the ballpark where a screaming foul ball coming into the stands at 85 miles an hour might crush the skull of a child. This 8-year-old was not sitting behind a net and was hit at 85 miles an hour, crushing her skull. So we have a new policy in effect last year. The policy's weak by all sense of the form. It's MLB teams are encouraged to extend the netting behind home plate a mere 70 feet or so down the foul lines to the near ends of both dugouts. That is the end of the dugout closest to home plate. Not the far end of the dugout, the near end of the dugout. Note that it's not a mandate, but merely a recommendation. It also calls on teams to explore ways to educate their fans. All 30 MLB teams have decided to do this. There is a page on their website that talks about the dangers of baseball. I implore you to find it. It's there, but it's going to take you a while clicking through a website to get to it. Some, 16 in fact, have it on their ticket policy, which is even better. Before you purchase a ticket, you have to read it. But as far as educating and extending the nets, we're talking in 2017. This is the proposed new netting. Now keep in mind, what I've highlighted here is the former net that I showed you at Royals Park. And then the proposed new. So the new netting is going to come to the edge of the dugout at full height here, but then from the top of the original netting, come down at an angle to the other side. The netting is not that much more. Unlike if we were to look at international baseball, and specifically I can give you Korea. Baseball in Korea has extended the nets before they even had professional. They put the nets up to come to the end of the dugout. which is expanding the amount of seating for people that may want it. Again, we're talking about it's reasonable for us to give it to enough people that may want it. But protected seating means premium seating. Thank you to the New York Yankees. I found this 2 weeks ago, and I just fell in love with it. Start. Okay. Exit. Okay, so here we have Yankee Stadium. Beautiful. It's huge. It's massive. Has anybody been in Yankee Stadium? Oh, you got to go to Yankees. What, you have?
Old one.
Old one? Not the new one? You got to go to the new one. So, Yankee Stadium, you can see where all the seats are. You can see where the net is, the existing net, right? The net goes from here to here, okay? So looking at protected seats, this fun little interactive map. Those are $665. That's a seat per game. Let's step up to where we might be higher than the net. $250. 24 are way up here in the nosebleeds. They're free. 41 to 59. But let's say we do extend the net past the dugout. 850. So while people may want protected seating, they may be priced out of it. Can I close your thing, Simon? Sure. Okay. Moving on. So the business invitee rule is what acts to any is the rule that's governing any business that opens in America that participates in interstate commerce. So this is how it was before we applied the limited duty rule to sports arenas. Landowners owe the highest duty to any entrant upon the land. The landowner is on an affirmative duty to protect a business visitor not only against known dangers, but against those that might be discovered with reasonable care. In 1932, Bryson versus Minnesota baseball. Protected seats must be sufficient seating in the protected areas to accommodate as many fans as request to sit there. 2017, an 8-year-old, 85 miles an hour in the face. Why does it take until 2018? For some way, I see that baseball stadium owners are not providing any reasonable duty of care. The argument's been made by numerous journalists. Bigger, faster, stronger. The game's changed. The game has changed. We hit the ball harder now. The game's faster, right? Athletes have become bigger, stronger. These arguments are supported by the steroid scandal. It's draped over baseball for 20 years. From 2010 to 2014, average number of spectator injuries from field objects was 1,750. 1995 to 2000, 1,140. Is it because we're bigger and faster and stronger? Farther, faster, and harder. It's just a diagram to show you those exact same numbers. Super simple. Where we're looking at 1,100, 1995, 20 years later, 1,750. It's not a shocking amount of numbers, but the amount of games didn't go up. Bigger, stronger, faster. It's also reported that, this was good, Baskin did this cool study. So in 2008, did anybody watch baseball in 2008? Anybody know who Barry Bonds is? Right? Talk about the steroid scandal, if you will, even though we're going to put him in the Hall of Fame, I think, right? We talk steroid scandal all day long and how big and massive the man was, but 2,232 bats were broken. Now, you saw two pictures earlier of bats entering the stands. Those are bats entering the stands because somebody hit it and let go of it. When a bat breaks, there's even less control of it. A bat breaking, the spots can go both ways. And I do have photos I'm just not going to show you. I have a horrifying photo of the broken bat sticking in someone's eye. Broken bats, flying bats, balls, doesn't matter, right? These are all inherent risks in baseball. It will happen. Every one of you in this room right now, if you didn't know that, maybe now you're scared to go to a baseball game, that's fine. It will happen as long as they've provided enough signage and protected seating purchase option. So this brings me to the distraction doctrine. The distraction doctrine is a legal doctrine said best in Lowe versus California League of Professional Baseball. What happened in this case is a man was attending a baseball game, and the mascot, the baseball game was a minor league game, it was the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. The mascot, Tremor is his name, he's a dinosaur, is dancing around, and entertaining the crowd. And I think we've all seen mascots entertain the crowd, especially, I don't know if anybody's ever been to Bailey Brayton and seen Butch on rollerblades on the steps. I can't even look at baseball when I see that. I'm like, dude, when's Butch gonna fall on a kid? That's my mindset. I think about risks and dangers and injuries all the time. But what happened here was the guy was dancing around and he was hitting another guy in the head. And this guy turns around to say, knock it off. And upon turning around, he takes a ball to the eye. He sued him. The California court sided in favor of him, stating that while the stadium has a limited duty to reduce risks, it still has a full duty, that of a business invitee, to not increase the risks. Do not increase the risks. Sample of 155 cases that I've analyzed so far, and stopping at, filed between 1913 and 2017 for relief. All of these are just cases that were filed, asking for some sort of relief because someone was injured in a ballpark. Okay, only 14 of mine correlate with the previous study I'd shown you. 87 of these were granted summary judgment for the stadium because of the baseball rule. Now, the way that works in the court is we say, I have a complaint against you, I was injured at your park. You answer, and you tell the judge, nope, they have no claim for which relief can be granted because baseball rule. 87 of 155. Nope, we're not even going to hear it because baseball rule. 33 of them decided in favor of the stadium after actually going through some sort of trial. 100 were deemed to have some sort of comparative negligence, like, oh, the stadium's partially responsible, but so are you. You should have been paying attention. 14 ruled in favor of the plaintiff, and only 11 invoked the distraction doctrine. So let's define distraction. Black's Law Dictionary, 2017 is the issue, or is the one I used. I didn't put it in there, my bad. Distraction, something that prevents a person from giving full attention to something else. Very simplified definition, but I'm giving you the legal definition as opposed to a Webster because I don't want anything subject to interpretation. This is baseball today versus what I showed you at the beginning. That's Tremor. That's the dinosaur over there, the dinosaur that caused so much terror. That's Butch. That's Butch. I could not find a picture anywhere of him on the dang rollerblades. I really wanted it. Now, tweet your seat and get on the big screen. Constantly being told at sporting events, you want to get on that big screen, be seen. Plus, look at the big screen. These big screens that are not put anywhere near the action is. These screens that are constantly showing us stats, they're constantly blinking, shining, telling us something. As long as that motion is there, our eyes are drawn to it, especially when they're... Oakland A's Stadium alone, that's 147 feet wide. That makes a big statement. Then we get told, show us your fan view with your seat number and row section for a chance to win. And we send that. Let's take a picture. Am I watching baseball when I'm taking a picture? So it takes me to Wi-Fi. Now, that's a basketball game, but it's a really good example to look at. What's she doing? She's watching something on the phone of the person next to her. Now, I can't say that that was caused by any way, shape, or form by the arena. In fact, for all shapes and purposes, it's this person's fault for distracting, if anyone's distracting. But recognize my logo here? Anybody who's been to a Major League ballpark sees this. All 30 Major League ballparks since 2013 have free Wi-Fi. Free Wi-Fi, it's a marketing technique to help keep you more engaged in the game. We've got free Wi-Fi. We're going to say, hey, tweet your seat, do this. We're trying to engage you in the game along with the way technology's engaged us. All 30 of them have large screens. All 30 of them run fan engagement phone incentives. Send us a picture of the seventh inning selfie, right? That's a bit, they do that at the Philadelphia Phillies games. Seventh inning selfie, make sure you get it in before the sixth. And then you sit there and show selfies. MLB has the Ballpark app, which I'm going to show you in just 1 second. All 238 minor league affiliates have the same distractions, just not all of them together. But all 30 Major League Baseball parks do have those. The Major League, or the MLB Ballpark app. Anybody got it? I love MLB Ballpark. My MLB Ballpark will tell me, right now, it will give me Spokane Indians if I turn it on. As this is the closest ballpark to us right now. It's a Major League affiliate. But my saved favorites, Safeco Field, because I check into Safeco Field all the time. Why do I check in with the Ballpark app? Because the Ballpark app throughout the game will send you coupons. It will let you enter to win things, and it will constantly buzz you in your little, if you got your little vibrator thing on, it'll buzz you. And the really cool one at Safeco Field, I don't know if anybody of you drink beer while you watch baseball, but it's kind of a popular thing. I don't get to because I go over to the Mariners games and I drive back afterwards, so I can't have a beer while I'm there. But there's nothing better than the beer sale. And MLB Ballpark will give you the beer sale if you sign up for it, which will be like in the middle of the 6th inning, behind section 143, XYZ kiosk, $6 beers. Since everybody's paying $12 the whole rest of the game, that's a very enticing app to save money. But again, they're not paying attention to what's going on in the game when they're sending that to you. But it's MLB who's sending it to you. It's Major League Baseball who's making you look away. So, are parks causing distractions? Which is the actual research question here. Is it the parks that are causing distractions? Data is being gathered from me from public record of injuries in Major League Baseball parks, and I'm looking clearly at, since I already have a study that goes till 2014, I'm looking at 2013 until 2017. Specifically looking at 2013 because it was 2013 when all 30 parks started offering free Wi-Fi. I'm expected to complete this by the end of the summer, but I am looking at all 238 minor league parks also, so it's a lot of stuff. I have looked at 2015 very thoroughly. Research that I'm going to present is going to show that there is a significant correlation to the stadium features and to an increase in spectator injury. 2015 has already counted, I've already counted for more than 2,000. Keep in mind, 2014 was 1,750. And I still have not got all of my minor league reports in. We're already up 250 in the following year. And I think that this will correlate quite greatly with the fact of spectator distraction due to technology. What I want to do is get a law review paper out there so that we can start putting a deference on the distraction doctrine, so that these 86 cases are not sent to summary judgment, so that some lawyer can find some proof somewhere that says, wait a second, quit just looking at a rule from 1908. The law is a social thing. It adapts with our society. But we are constantly seeing this, and we see it in the news all the time, where we're battling something that, oh, but that's the law, but the law was written 200 years ago. Society's changed, technology's changed. And stadium owners need to be held liable instead of being out from underneath this little umbrella thinking they can get away with anything. Thanks.